Water chemistry is absolutely essential for breeding. Beyond any other factor, okay? You need good quality water. Your eggs will never hatch, or more than likely will hatch very lightly, if you're using regular city water loaded with minerals. My number one phone call is when people call me up and say, "Hey Gabe, I need a male discus because my male is shooting blanks. The female spawns constantly, but the eggs go bad, so I have to assume that the male's not doing his job. The female's doing her job, the male's not doing his job." And this is, we're going to remove all errors and all reasoning why the discus are not hatching or your eggs are not hatching. I'm doing this video to give you guys an idea of how water chemistry is absolutely essential. Okay. The fact that the female's laying eggs just means that the environment is very good for them and they're happy, and congratulations to you if you've gotten there. The fact that they're laying eggs and not hatching, though, means that the water quality or the water has to change. And as you guys know from seeing my old videos and from seeing pictures of the hatchery and everything, we do use RO water. Now, what's the difference between city water and RO water? City water comes in with chlorine and chloramine, which most of you take off with your chlorinator, whatever it is, or you let it age. But it does contain minerals, calcium, all the kinds of stuff that has to be in there, okay, that's coming up out of the ground. I mean, the municipal water companies are pulling it out of the ground, and it does come up with minerals. Those minerals create what is called osmotic pressure, okay, which is why you float in salt water and you got to paddle like hell when you're swimming in fresh water. Osmotic pressure will make the eggs calcify. That's why they turn white immediately. What happens when there's a lot of minerals? The outside pressure is less, so it draws all the liquid from the egg and make the egg calcify. They will not hatch with hard water. You need to use reverse osmosis water. And I know that over the years people have called me and told me, "Gabe, my water's soft because my pH is 6.5. Let me explain something to you, okay? pH is just letting you know what the acidity or alkalinity of your water is. It's not telling you how hard or how soft it is. You can have very hard water with very low pH. You can have very high pH with very low conductivity, all right? So unless you use specific meters or have your waters tested, and if you're going to get into breeding, I strongly advise you guys to get your pH meter and your conductivity meter, so that when you call me or call anybody you like and ask them, "Hey, why aren't my eggs hatching?" you'll be able to get an answer, because the first thing that we're going to ask you is, what's your conductivity and what's your pH? It's very important, okay? I'm going to show you the meters that we use. I'm going to show you how to calibrate them. I'm going to take you step by step so that you become your own breeders and you get those eggs to hatch. I realize that most of you just want to see it for the fun. I'm going to be the first to raise my hand and tell you that when that happened to me for the first time, it changed my life. So I'm here to help you guys enjoy the hobby more and more, and I'm hoping that this video takes away most of the ideas that people have and removes all doubts, so that each and every one of you can become successful at getting the eggs to hatch, okay? So the next few things are we're going to be talking about the pH meter, we're going to be talking about the conductivity meter, what one measures and what the other one measures, what you're going to need in order to get those babies on the sides of the parents. This is the unboxing of the MW101 pH meter from Milwaukee. Any pH meter will do it. make sure you get a decent one. Okay. This is a hand operated, which means you can move it around. It's completely mobile. It is battery operated. Okay, we've already put in the 9-volt battery in the back. Speed up the procedure. Now what you're going to find is your calibration screwdriver. You're going to find your probe, okay, which comes with a booty on it. Comes with a protective liquid, which is like a storage liquid, so the probe doesn't run dry. You can see some of the liquid on the top already dried off. Just take that right off. Okay, it's not a big deal. This gets plugged directly into the probe itself. The probe gets plugged directly into the unit through a BNC connector. Now what I'd like to do is normally I clean them. So I'm going to stick this in a tank. You're not going to see it, but I'll stick this in a tank, clean it off, rinse off that calibration, that storage solution rather. Okay, I already filled up the solutions for calibration, 4.01 liquid and 7.01. So what we're going to do is basically stick the probe into 4.01, and you'll notice immediately on the display that right now it's going down into the 4s, okay, because it wants to calibrate. Now on the side of the unit itself, you've got a calibration of 4/10, calibration of 7. Now you can see it says 416 right there. All you have to do is stick the screwdriver into the 4 if you're calibrating 4 and turn it slightly. If I turn it to the left, it goes up. If I turn it to the right, it starts to go down. And what we want to do is we want to get that 4.01 pH like the calibration. Now if you're at 4 or 4.01, that's close enough, okay? You don't need to split hairs on this. We don't need to make it too crazy. All right, so that would be your first calibration. Then once again, what I'll do so I don't contaminate the 4 solution with the 7, I'm going to rinse it one more time in regular water. Normally I would dry this with a paper towel, but my shirt does just fine. And we're going to stick it in the 7.01 solution. Okay? And you'll notice that the meter is already reading. Now, on this particular one, I went a little higher. Normally when they come in, they're dead on. But we can adjust it. We put it into the 7, and we start adjusting the 7. Now remember, you don't need to touch it much. It's slight. Okay, it's very fine. And there's your 7.01. Now, this meter is calibrated, okay? This meter will read RO water. It will read city water. But remember, if you're using your little liquids, those little liquids are designed to read the minerals that are in the water in order to determine what the pH is, or the buffers. When you're using reverse osmosis water, there are no buffers, so you need a digital one to get an accurate reading. Okay? And what I've done is, it's already calibrated, so I've got some water here from my breeding section, and what we're going to do is we're going to test my breeding water to see where I'm at. Now, in my breeding section, it varies because there are 78 breeding pairs and we feed heavily and stuff. When you use pure reverse osmosis water, the drawback is that there is no buffers in the water, so your pH tends to crash. And when I say crash, it means it starts to go down. Now, what we do is we add sodium carbonate, which is the same product. As a matter of fact, we also buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever, which they use for swimming pools to raise the pH, okay? Sodium carbonate, we use 1 teaspoon per 1,800 gallons just to stabilize the pH, okay? So don't go crazy. If you only got 1 or 2 tanks, you may only require whatever you catch with your index finger, okay? Just dissolve it in a cup of water and put it into your tank. You don't need to go nuts. But the reason why pH is important is because your meter, your pH meter is your left hand and your conductivity meter is your right hand when you're breeding discus. It took me a lot of money and a lot of time to figure this out. If your pH is lower than 5.5, the acidity will kill the sperm of the male and the eggs will never fertilize. Okay, so you want to be above 5.5. I know that the lower in pH you go, the less bacteria in the water, and that whole, it's true, it is true. More acidity, less bacteria. Bacteria can't tolerate low pHs. But, you know, it's a fine line between fertility and lower bacteria. So you want to be above 5.5. Anything above 5.5 to 6.5 is ideal. Ideal. Anything above 6.5, then you start running into problems with fungus on the eggs. You start to run into problems with bacterial attacks, because the higher the alkalinity, the more bacteria you build up. Okay, now remember, when you're breeding, you're doing water changes every day practically, because you're removing all the debris from the bottom, all the uneaten food, so that doesn't decompose and create a problem for your fry. Okay, we have to have pristine conditions. This is now breeding 101, which has nothing to do with keeping discus. Remember that. When I say water changes daily, I am talking about breeding. I'm not talking about keeping discus. Let's not confuse one with the other, because that's the biggest fallacy I hear constantly, is how you have to do water changes every single day when you keep discus. If that was true, you know, I wouldn't even have a fish tank at home, because I wouldn't have the time. Okay, so this is just for breeding. Every day you get in there, you siphon out whatever little pieces of fecal matter, uneaten food, you pop it right out. You don't even have to fill up the tank, because you probably pulled out a cup if you do it every day. All right, at the end of the week, you fill the tank back up. End of story. All right, now the pH is crucial, because it will determine whether your eggs are going to get attacked by bacteria and your babies. If it's too high, it'll also if it's too low, it'll kill the sperm from the male and it won't let the eggs fertilize. So this is your left hand. Now we're going to talk about your right hand. Okay, now we're going to unbox the MW301, which is your conductivity meter. Okay, conductivity meter also comes with calibration solution. On this one, we're going to cut it short so we don't bore you to death, but if you look closely, okay, you have the same calibration screw right here, and in here, you've got the same little screwdriver, okay? So basically, we already calibrated this, but this is how you would calibrate this inside the 1413 solution, okay, which comes with the unit. What we're going to do here is we're going to hook up the probe. Now this probe is different, because this probe has 2 electrodes in it which determine conductivity. Now what's conductivity in layman's terms? I'm going to tell you right now. When it's thundering at the beach, moms always tell kids to get the hell out of the water. Why? Because if lightning strikes, you're going to get conductivity going right through your body. That lightning strike will wipe you out. If you're in a forest, you want to stay away from the trees, but if you've got a natural freshwater river, you want to go into that river, because that river doesn't conduct any electricity, okay? I know it makes no sense to some of you, but that's basically what makes the eggs hatch or unhatch, all right? Now, when you test your water, there's a lot of meters out there, okay? You can do a TDS meter, you can do a ppm meter, or you can do a conductivity meter. Basically, they all read the same thing. They read general hardness. The problem is, we work with conductivity. So when you call me up, it's up to you. You want to talk to me, it's up to you to go in and convert your ppms into microsiemens, or convert your TDS into microsiemens, so that we're on the same playing field, okay? I'm very busy. We're all here very busy. I want to be able to help you, but I can't be pulling out my phone and going on Google to figure out what the TDS is in your tank, convert it over to microsiemens. So try desperately. If you're not going to buy one of these guys, buy one that reads microsiemens. They usually say EC on them, okay? We're going to do the same thing right now, and we are going to test my breeding water. Now, it's at 0 right now because the 2 probes that are in there, the 2 metal probes, are not touching anything. All right? Once they touch water, whatever microsiemens are in there, or conductivity, right now it's telling me I'm at 61, okay? Or 62. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over to the well and I'm going to get some well water, all right? So I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm going to get some well water so that you guys can see the difference between this conductivity and what comes out of our well. And if we use regular well water, you would see why the eggs wouldn't hatch, okay? So I'm going to come right back with the well water and test it for you. Okay, I went and I got the well water. Now we're going to test the well water. This is without any RO or anything. You can see that it's 514 or 515, okay? At 514, we're going to breed African cichlids. We're not going to breed Discus, all right? Your city water probably runs around 275, 250, and it's still too high. You want to be between 35 and let's say 80 microsiemens maximum so that you get the most amount of eggs to hatch. Now, while I was over there getting the well water, I also walked by the holding tank where the RO water is. I want you to see where our holding tanks are at. This is pure RO water, okay? The industrial units, this is what they produce, 22, all right? Now, inside the breeding section, the reason why it's 69 is because, remember, we feed them beef heart, and as you know from looking at the formula on my other videos, we use multivitamins. So if they eat it or don't eat it, the multivitamins have minerals in them, and they're going to melt in the water. So that's why there's a difference between the 22 and the 68 or 65 that was shown before, okay? But you guys need to bring down the conductivity with reverse osmosis or deionization or whatever you want. Otherwise, these eggs are never going to hatch. Has nothing to do with the male being fertile or infertile, okay? If you don't have the proper conditions, these fish will not breed. And I know you're going to tell me, Gabe, my angelfish eggs hatch. That's fine. That's why angelfish, you can get them for $5. Okay, because anybody can breed them. Discus are a little bit more difficult. Okay, just so you understand, my guys did a massive water change today. So my pH is 6.6 right now in the breeding section. Okay, the difference here is this is a pH monitor. The difference between the handheld and this one is this is fixed. All right, it comes with a transformer which is back there. All right, and it's on all the time. You can set an alarm if it goes below 6.6 or whatever. This is the MC120. We have those as well. I like the handheld ones because you're going to move that thing around. You're probably going to have multiple tanks, and you know, unless you got a central system like this, you honestly don't need this unit. This is fixed. You can't walk around with this one. Okay, but the pH here is 6.6 and the conductivity here is 24. Okay, and while I was trying to adjust this meter, I noticed a pair right behind me attacking me, and I couldn't figure out for the hell of me why. And lo and behold, we're talking about breeding Discus, and there you go. Okay, there you go. That's what it's all about. This is what this tutorial is all about, is getting this to happen so you guys can experience and enjoy what I get to do every single day of my life. Okay? And I'm hoping that you guys are successful with this video. I'm hoping that all of you write to me and tell me how everything all of a sudden turned around. I know there's going to be a million questions, and it's okay. I'm used to it. I've been answering them for 25 years. But I'm hoping and praying that this video shows you guys the basics of what you need to do, okay? And then the rest of the videos that we put out there for you are going to show you the other little tidbits that you need to do to become successful at it, okay? I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and again, I apologize for not being back so quickly. It's just that we became overwhelmed with orders, and we're happy about that because now we're expanding even more.
and enjoying the hobby even more. Okay, so thank you all. Enjoy. Don't forget, WattleyDiscus.com.